Sure.
Sure. Sorry, is there a quick share?
Yeah, just.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, for having me today. So I just want to talk about my company, Gummy Nutrition Lab, and I just want to tell you about it, really how it started. And it came about because I really had a certain pain point, and that's that I had a lot of trouble losing weight after I had my third daughter about 7 years ago. It's uncomfortable, it's hard, I just hated it, and I was exercising like crazy. I'd come from a fairly fit background. I was a marathon runner, a competitive swimmer. And I was like, after working in nutraceuticals before, I knew Health Canada had some ingredients that were approved for weight loss. And I knew I could put them in gummies, and I went about to figure out how to do that. Oh, how do I get? Oh, right, okay.
I'll do this.
So my company is Gummy Nutrition Lab. We are a nutrition manufacturer in Edmonton. We actually have a plant that's Health Canada certified on the West End. And I'm the co-founder. Jim Gibbon is also here today. He's the other co-founder. So what's really the problem is that most active ingredients really taste bad and they're not suitable for gummies. So you really have to, they're either messy powders, difficult to take pills, there's low compliance, and it can be confusing and expensive if you don't know what you're taking or why. The other problem we discovered is that gummies are really hard to make. They're just not easy. The standardization is difficult because if you can imagine you're putting these active ingredients into a gummy mass. There's also a lot of confusing regulatory compliance issues with Health Canada and launching these and getting them to market, which has also led to a big problem in Canada that there's a lot of unfulfilled demand. Okay. So the market size is big. Weight management, the weight management market size is projected to be 532 billion. That's massive, and it's growing each year. Oh, wait. And the nutraceutical gummy market size is also massive, and it is also growing even faster. So really what's our competition is pills and tablets. I'll go into why they're a problem. Powders, there's also direct imports from people ordering online from the US and different places outside of Canada. And there's also Canadian companies who are importing and selling outside of Health Canada regulations. So really, what's our advantage? So what are we doing that's different than everybody else in the market? And first is that we have the people who know how to make it. I'm a food scientist. My husband, Jim, is a former brewer, and we put our skills together to build this plant. We also have been able to bring on, with the help of IRAP, a lot of really skilled scientists to help us get us to where we need to go. What we've been able to do is increase the bioactives in gummies in ways no one has done before. In certain cases, up to 650%, and still make them palatable. These gummies are on the market already. This looks like, and we also manufacture our gummies in-house. So that's different than a lot of other people, because a lot of people are just hiring contract manufacturers, and we're actually building these products from scratch. So right now we have a plant in Edmonton. We have a CFIA certification, NSF, which we recently got, which is an international quality certification. We have our Health Canada license and our FDA as well. Thanks. So again, what makes us different? We've developed brands that are already on the market. We make everything in our plants in Edmonton. 80% of the ingredients that go into our gummies is from Alberta. And we've developed the technical know-how. We've designed gummies with more of these things that are really, that people want, and are what we call active ingredients. So right now we have 3 revenue streams. We do R&D, we do third-party production for other marketing companies and our house brands. Eventually, these 2 will go. So our goal is to get all to house brands. But this is what's been keeping us dead for the first little bit of our company's existence. We're also in 3 different marketing channels. Safe Base always will be Co-op and Amazon. So the team, this is just a quick breakdown. Myself, I'm CEO. I'm a food scientist. I also have manufacturing experience. Jim giving the back, he's the co-founder. Again, experienced entrepreneur. He's done sales and distribution, and he used to have a brewery. We have, as of today, 9 employees. So we did bring on one more person. Actually, today is her first day. She was our very, very first employee, and she came back from mat leave, so we're 9. And then we have a really great advisory team as well. So what's our revenue projection? So right now, in order to get started, we thought what we needed to do was really prove the market was there. We got the smallest equipment we could, got our plant health certified. It's small, but we want to grow. So this is us last year. This is what we're expecting for this year. And we're hoping to be able to expand our production to grow to a much bigger size very quickly. So why I'm here, we're ready to grow. There's market, we have demand, we can make the products, and now we're ready to like really take it on. And we have the business in hand to expand. So we've actually got MOUs already for companies domestically and internationally, and we want to fulfill that demand. So why invest with us? Well, the exits are great. These are local, or I think all within Canada companies that have exited, which are several are manufacturers as well as brands, which is our goal. Smart Sweets was a big one, and that was just a brand. Of course, everybody wants to be like Champion Pet Foods, but yeah, there's some great exits in this space. So what we're asking for is we are raising the jump to the next level, $3 million, and we're looking for strategic partners to help us get there. Okay, so thanks. I have this for online people. If anybody wants to get a free sample, they can click on there and get a sample. We also have samples in the back of the room if someone wants to have some. We have a few things that Jim, you want to come up and yeah, I think we're sure.
You sampled of the Jones gems in the south.
Very hot.
I just caught it.
What's the?
I want the product.
So you'll see bags of Joe's gems in the back. These are 10 a day that you take to help you lose weight. They're actually outprice suppressants. They work. I'm down a lot. I was a lot heavier before, and I'm very happy this stuff works. We brought some creatine kicks for any here that have family or friends that are working out right now and take creatine. A lot of people are taking Jeremie, plus we're learning more and more about the health benefits for brain development and brain growth as well. So there's a few of those in the back. If you sign up for that as well, you can get samples. But these just came out last week, and we just shipped these to, this is, everyone here, this is all secret, right? So these went out to Sobeys last week. It looks like we're gonna have these 3 on the store shelves in Sobeys by the end of the month. So it's really exciting for us. So these are those gems 10 a days, which are, you take, the 10 a day. I like these because as a guy who likes to eat, by taking 5 of these twice a day, it also adds a little bit of satiation by having a little bit of sweet. Some people don't like these because they feel like there's more calories, so we just reduced the 2 days. So this is 45 days of weight loss assistance with these. We have the creatine kicks in a brand new package for boys and girls. And then we have
Actually, cotton candy and blue raspberry.
and then the latest one that just came out, we were just in the process of packaging today, is the Fun Fiber as well. So high fiber.
Free and probiotic.
So these are at the back to look at. You cannot steal these. But
well, if anyone wants a sample, we didn't bring bottles or yeah.
if someone really wants one, we can give you a bottle. But I will say, one of these bottles only has 80 in it because we filled it in. So one of them will look for it, but they're all here and ready for if you want to.
Any questions? Normally there's not time for questions, but we're open.
French.
I just wanted to pop onto your revenue slide there.
Oh, sure.
And so the question there is, it sounded like based on what you were saying, one of the constraints right now is capacity in terms of manufacturing, right?
Yes.
In terms of geographic reach to achieve those sales, what sort of accounts are you getting to and how are you getting to those markets?
Sure. Well, Jim is like like you'll be pretty happy with.
So the green sections of those slides are based on the new equipment, and we have memorandums of understanding to fulfill that, right? That's expected orders, not to get the bigger equipment.
Okay, and then are they sort of North America wide, or can you talk a little bit about geography?
There's,
Breaking any confidentiality?
there's some Latin American,
Okay,
American, and then, we don't have any news yet, but there's, inventory. But the only, North American.
distribution to, that sort of all worked out.
This would be bulk manufacturing. So it would be shipped to them, but in the- There's the green section there, there's better production of existing brands that are looking to switch it.
Got it.
And that we actually have them reusing.
Understood. Okay, that's helpful. Thank you.
So there would have to have been regulatory hurdles overcome, I presume, as well.
Correct.
Probably even more stringent for the EU market.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, we haven't actually shipped into the EU, but you're correct. So EU has very stringent regulations around GMOs. So that's where this comes like, where we're also having an advantage because we don't use corn syrup. So corn syrup is really difficult to, I mean, it's basically impossible to get a non-GMO or a non-GMO corn syrup. So we use pea fiber as our base from BioSciences. But our preferred base. We also have customers who are a little bit more price sensitive. This is a little bit cheaper, but ideally we would use all pea fiber.
And does that help with the consistency issue with gummies as well, like that you talked about with other products?
Yeah, you know what? It's great. It's an actual one-to-one substitute for corn syrup. And it gives a really great flavor. It tastes great. It's also has way less sugar. So it does have some still sugar, but it's almost like negligible. It's very, very small. I mean, you have no problem.
Well, it's not a secret anymore, but the claim to fame, the reason Smart Sweets became what they were is because of BioNutri's product.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're using the exact same.
Yeah.
Yeah, local health people. Great.
It's a fantastic story. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you looked into the, like, we have a free trade agreement with Europe group, so I'm sure that's something that's in the EDC or even, I think so, we'll be able to offer some.
And ideally, yeah, I mean, we're just still like, feel like we're a baby company, but we want to, we really built this too from, we really built this because we are, him and I are both Albertans and we want to use resources we have here. I think we really got a really clear understanding during COVID that, we need to start making things. It's going to be part of that in our small little way.
Well, there's even a really high demand when you go into, say, the Gulf Coast countries. They put a higher priority on quality for Canadian products over American, even over European. So, yeah.
So would that be any change to production then? If it was just a lot?
Can you hear in the back? I apologize about the noise to be turned down, but just try and speak up just to make sure everyone can hear.
I can actually, I'll repeat it. So the question was, does using pea fiber that's made will be effective production time? And it does. We can make it faster. So we don't have to wait for tapioca to come from China. We can, dial up, BioNutri's sales side and get it. To be honest, we don't order far in advance right now, so I'm hoping it would keep. And yeah, it's nice that it's open. It's very. So we can do both, vegan, or not. Our preferred base is actually a combination of gelatin and pectin, so that it's not vegan. It just gives a really gummy texture, and it provides the milk resistance. And pectin doesn't melt, so it's better for export. So it's it's a balance, but it doesn't have. If you've ever taken a vitamin gummy that's got stuck in your molars and your teeth, that's a pectin gummy. So the nice thing about gelatin is it melts just about body temperature, or just around body temperature actually. So it melts in your mouth and it tastes really great and it's chewy, but it also melts when it's delivered to your doorstep on sunny days. So that's where we're like having this balance. Yeah, so that is something. So we do use, so there's A and B gelatin. So A gelatin is for and B is, and we use that for wild gelatin as well. So just to keep their markets open and as much as we can.
What kind of stats do you have on repeat customers and that the product actually works for individuals?
Well, that's the only thing. We haven't been around so long, but we do have a lot of people who've been taking it and have had good success. And some who are like friends and family of people who've been working for us, but that's really our job right now is to get, you know, if what we're doing is working, but we're not just only limited to weight loss. That's just our first channel. But everything that we're doing and improving it in a sort of clinical aspect is definitely going to be our job in the next, you know, few years to make sure everything that we're putting in is effective in the gummy format, where that's as effective as it is in a pill or tablet.
Do you sell direct as well?
Yep, we do. We have everything on our website.
And so you must have some stats on repeat customers.
Well, I mean, we do have some subscriptions, but we've only just launched since December and it's March. So, I mean, our subscriptions have only gone up on the second order at most.
Expand on that. We do have some really positive reviews and some positive feedback points that are up on the website as well. The other thing to point out is just so people understand, all of the active ingredients we use in our gummies are registered with Health Canada and have at least 3 double-blind placebo tests. So we're not trying new or different things that people may or may not work for people. These are proven and registered and approved by the government of Canada. So we have a little bit of extra background about just saying that these help. We have the government of Canada's background on those.
Yeah, sorry, I'm sorry, people don't understand. Whenever you get an NPN number, it already has been pre-cleared with Health Canada for whatever you say that, whatever you put on the label. So if it's weight management, Health Canada has already reviewed that inclusion for whatever it is. So in our case, weight management, so that does mean a double-blind placebo-controlled, 3 of them minimum, most have way more, but for everything. So we just work within Health Canada's monographs. If you want to go ahead and do your own trials, I think this says XY, that requires a class 3 and it's a lot longer road. So I don't know if we're looking at that anytime soon, but it's a possibility in the future. But for right now, we work within Canada's approved claims.
What would it take to get Alberta Health Services or another health service to recommend your product to patients?
Oh, I don't know. That's something we haven't really explored yet, but it's definitely, I don't know the answer to that question.
Okay.
Someone here might know.
You need a DIN number for that, right? Because I understand this is NHP.
Yes.
So this is not. So to go for Alberta Health Services, you need a DIN number. So you need to do a clinical trial, then all people go to doctors and they can.
Yeah, and you might be able to go to an alternate path, because if you're looking for a prescription, you'll need a DIN.
Yeah.
But if you're working with Alberta Health Services nutritionists and they make a recommendation, they can do that without. Right, so I think that there's some other paths that you can take as well.
Yeah, and from speaking with pharmacists, my understanding was that I looked into DINs versus NHP or NPNs. And the recommendation was not to go the DIN route because the DIN requires a lot more regulatory stuff. And unless we wanted insurance to cover it, but even with an NPN, insurance will cover it. So if you have extended health benefits, a lot of extended health plans will.
Well, I guess I got one last question.
Sure.
What's your product pipeline looking like? Are you heavy in the research and development and trying to figure out new products and new dosage ratios?
Yeah, so We do have quite a few products in our pipeline. I think really there's so many things we're always thinking that would be great to put out. And I think our biggest thing is focus and just getting something out. So, so we've got our first 2 products out. We have variations of those also going out into the market soon in jars. And then we have a couple coming up with for cognitive health, which is another bunch of great products.
Yeah. Fantastic. And I guess as all the consumers would say, the most important thing is taste and texture, which you
Yeah.
got nailed down.
Oh, I hope so. So I hope everyone can try some. Well, we have some here.
Wonderful.
Okay, thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jolene and Jim. Definitely
That was
greatly
great.
appreciate it.
And Jolene, and thanks, and Robert, and we're taking bids on those gummies. They're selling $100 a pot. Okay, so feel free to put your money on the table. I want to introduce Ken, who is going to introduce himself a little more in detail, but he's chairing our next session. We've been working together on DiscoveryLab, and he's a management consultant who's worked with us for many, many years already. Thanks, Ken, for chairing our next session.
Thanks, Michael. Yeah, I've enjoyed working with Michael in DiscoveryLab for the last 4 years. I've been in the industry for about 25, working with IRAP and if anyone remembers, deal generated through EDE Alberta or Edmonton EDE. So as an advisor, I help a lot of clients on all aspects, typically generally from the management consulting practice. There's 6 functional areas. So we look at organizations where they start and where they want to go with recommendations, which really reduces investment risk and helps them grow and whatnot. Anyway, that's a bit about me. I'll introduce Jeremie right away. He should be here shortly. Jeremie Bourqui is out of Calgary, founder of WaveView Imaging. He's developed a scanner for breast cancer imaging. He's been in the industry for about 20 years, has 1 business partner, and he's looking for investment that he'll talk about, as well as collaborators or any other investors or advisors that can help them along the way. And so this is Jeremie.
So just give us a second here, and we're gonna put the HDMI over. And thanks again for filling out your forms. That helps hugely. And again, we're gonna collate that and share all that information anonymously, all that collated content.
Thank you.
And
Do I click to the online version of the feedback form you mentioned?
there is an online form, and if you click on the company name, I was gonna write that on the board, but it's DiscoveryLab sponsor. And then is the password. The password is DiscoveryLab for me exclamation. Oh, I just screwed up big time. Sorry about that, guys online. Where are we? But the paper is also fine. So I'll probably need Jeremie. Got too many wires. Don't trip.
Yeah.
Okay, Jolene. Cheers. Oh, all good, perfect. So let me just make sure we're all set up here. I think we're good. Hello, that's our owl there. Okay, lovely. Yeah. Okay, Rakesh, could you just help for 1 second? I just want to make sure I get this right. Right now, you guys are all on videotape. That's great. So we are recording this, and so hopefully tomorrow I can put the video online so you can see if you missed anything. You also get the decks and the business plans have been shared and the evaluation. So your comments will be anonymized. The scores will be collated. And that we share, of course, with Jeremie and the presenters. And yeah. Okay, so we haven't used an owl before, but these are great devices. And right now, I think we're all on video, so don't do anything too silly. But in a minute, it'll just focus on this. And if you stand here, you might also slightly be on the video. Is that looking okay?
If I'm here.
Yeah.
Okay,
Maybe go here. Oh, actually, and then tell me and I can advance, or you can go. Oops, sorry about that. Is that okay? Jeremie's come from Calgary today, which is great. He was gonna pitch virtually, but we convinced him to come in person, which is even better.
Yeah, no, I figured to be it.
Perfect. Okay, almost there.
So I had somebody online saying that the viewing was really good.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Well, great. So right now, this area here is on camera. The rest of you are not on camera, so you can do whatever you want. In a second.
I might see them.
Yeah. So we just relax for a second here, and I apologize about the heat and the noise. We do have a lot of people in here and the fans, I told them to turn off the fans. They're a bit too noisy, but as a result, it might get a bit steamy in here if we have too many questions. So keep the questions short and sweet, and then we should be okay.
Maybe start with some background.
Okay, yeah, why don't you, well, actually, let's hold off because this is your space. You're gonna get 10 minutes to pitch and then 10 minutes for Q&A, and then we have a break for 15 minutes for wash and break. If you need a break, feel free. I mean, this is casual. This is your space. Grab a coffee, grab some water, whenever you wish. And then, again, after this session, we'll pick up your forms, just leave them on the table. Rakesh and I'll pick them up. And, we can just, see what happens.
Yeah, start.
You want to just go with that?
Yeah.
These owls are fantastic if you can figure them out. But there's a camera here that is basically looking at the whole room, listening to everybody. We don't have one, but Nabi does. Apologies.
You okay if I
Yeah, you
give
can
some background
start.
maybe before I
Yeah,
start?
yeah,
If you have any good
Okay,
jokes, this is your chance.
I know I'm not really good with jokes.
Okay.
Yeah. The only one I have is when people ask me, where are you from? I always want to say I'm from Calgary, born and raised.
That's good.
Yeah. But no, if you wonder where my accent is from, it's Switzerland. That's where I'm from. I moved here close to 20 years ago now. It's been a long time. I was going to be here to be a ski bum for 2 years. And here I am 20 years later. I have my family in Calgary and starting a business. Yeah.
Yeah, how do the mountains compare?
So I like the wilderness.
Oh, okay,
So it's much better here. You can get lost much easier.
yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
At home, what I like is I'm never far from a cold beer. Anywhere
Yeah,
you are.
yeah.
You always have a hut in the mountains,
Yeah.
something. So, it's different.
Yeah.
It's way more crowded over there,
Yeah,
even though it's getting quite a bit more crowded here. So
Yeah.
it's, it's getting there, but I think everywhere
Yeah.
it's more crowded, so I
Yeah.
feel better here.
well, there's the cows. I remember going there and I saw this helicopter taking a cow off a mountain.
Yeah.
I guess every spring they bring them down to the valley.
Yeah, sometimes they get lost.
Or,
They
yeah,
when they bring them down, they can usually ride down,
Yeah.
but sometimes they get lost into places that they can
Yeah.
get them and
Yeah.
they have to take the helicopter.
yeah,
We use the mountains very much over there, for sure. That's a big difference. We
Yeah.
live there.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, we should be good.
Are we good?
Yep.
Okay, apologies for that little diversion. The time is yours.
Okay, sounds good. So yeah, hi everyone. My name is Jeremie Bourqui. I'm the CEO and co-founder of WWiKY Imaging, where we're developing a new way for breast cancer imaging. I could give you many different statistics about breast cancer, but I think the most important thing is that everyone knows somebody who has been impacted by breast cancer. Myself, I lost my cousin from breast cancer. She was 39, diagnosed with, she wasn't diagnosed, she felt a lump in her breast, and it was too late. It was before she could have any screening, and the disease was late enough that she didn't make it. And she left 2 young kids behind. That was very heartbreaking, and I think we can do better. So lead detection, it's a multifactorial problem. As I mentioned, screening starts only at a certain age. If you're lucky, 40, 45 in general, and if you're more unlucky, it's age 50. And something to know is about 11% of the breast cancer happen before age 45. So before you can get any screening. And even when you have screening, there's about 35% of the population that do go for screening. 35% of the population that do not go for screening can be for multiple reasons. Maybe they don't have access to X-ray mammography. Maybe they find them painful and they don't want to go for that. Or simply they are scared of X-ray. So that's another layer that adds to the lead detection. And then about 43% of women above age 45, when they can get screened, have dense breast. And X-ray mammography is terrible in dense breast. They're gonna miss about half of the cancer. So at WWiKY Imaging, we're developing a new technology for breast cancer imaging. Our device is completely portable. I can literally bring it on the airplane into a suitcase. It is simple to operate. Right now we have a nurse that is trained to operate the device. And that is really key component to make a point of care device, and they can be transported everywhere. You can wonder, that looks very much like a mammogram, and in fact, it is a little bit similar because we place a breast in between our two arrays. Okay, sure. And, oh yeah.
Oh, okay, sorry.
We place the breast in between the two arrays, but we don't put the same compression as X-ray mammography. So about 90% of all of that we had find it much more comfortable than X-ray mammography. We also have results right away, and it's completely safe. It's microwave imaging. It's exactly the same frequency as your cell phone, but we use 100 times less power. So we can scan as often as needed, and we can start as early as we want. And the most exciting thing is that we seem to have better contrast in dense breast, which is a really great challenge for younger population because X-ray doesn't see anything. So as I mentioned, X-ray mammography is basically the workhorse for screening, but really it has a lot of disadvantages, and it has to be combined with other technology to have better screening. But they all have their kind of disadvantages. They have some role to play, of course, but I think our technology really fits the need of all the different gaps that we can see here. And we have competition in the world of microwave imaging for breast cancer, but our competitor form factor is quite a bit larger and it's quite a bit more complex to operate. And it is, of course, much more expensive than what we have. And fundamentally, their approach is not going to work. And we know that because we have a long history of developing such devices. We were among the first in the world to detect a tumor with microwave technology. And that was in our lab at UFC. Since 2020, that's when we did our incorporation, we developed the device the way we know it's going to work. And we have this one currently in clinical trials, and this other device that we developed lately that it's much more portable. So current position, currently we have one IP application for both the hardware and the method. We have one provisional patent that is going to help make our device in a better form factor. And we also have other applications in the field of IP is definitely very important for us. In terms of regulatory, we have an IT, investigational testing authorization from Health Canada to conduct our clinical trials. We have a regulatory study that is ready for both the FDA and Health Canada. And we have a pre-submission meeting that will happen in Q2 this year. In terms of clinical testing, we've been measuring testing on participants extensively to show the stability for device. That's 300 plus scans. And currently we have 2 studies going on, one for assessing breast density and another one to monitor neoadjuvant treatment. And we know that going to the breast imaging market is going to be a long road. So we have developed a stepped approach to be able to get into the commercial stage as soon as possible. Our first application is going to measure breast density. Breast density is important because it's a risk factor for breast cancer. It increases cancer risk by as much as if you have family history of breast cancer. And we also know that density should reduce with time. If breast density increases over time, especially if that happens only one breast compared to the other, that's a sign something is going on. And that should be a sign to say, hey, you should go for screening. So it's an important information to have. Secondly, treatment monitoring, where the patient goes through neoadjuvant treatment, where the tumor is too large to operate. They want to shrink it before. That treatment takes up to 8 months with chemotherapy injection every 2 weeks. And there is no real way to monitor the effect of the treatment. Right now, it's a physician palpating the breast to make sure the treatment is working. With our device, we have the opportunity to give better information. And finally, later we will go into an adjunct device for screening. So that's going to require quite a bit more data for that. So far, our preliminary results for breast density, we show clear correlation between what is measured with X-ray mammography compared to what we measure. And X-ray mammography, that's the only way to measure breast density as it is right now. But I'm more excited to show you those results where we have a patient here with extremely dense breast who has a tumor. It's actually the left breast, but not labeled here. But if we look at the start of the treatment, we can so clearly see the tumor that is apparent in the left breast. And as the treatment progresses, after week 3, 6, 9 to 15, that tumor reduces in size and also in property. And we can so clearly see that with our device. So we can see the tumor reducing with the treatment, and it is a dense breast. That's really an awesome result that we are getting here. And in addition to that, we not only we showing images, but our technology is totally quantitative. So we can show the changes of the tissue properties due to the treatment. And that can be very, very useful to the oncologist. In terms of revenue model, we are planning to lease our device to clinic and to have a SaaS licensing on the side where they will pay for every scan that is performed. And in the back end, we plan to have some automation to identify potential problem, to have things highly automated so that we give a report to the physician that has already good information in it. In terms of revenue, we are planning to go in the market at late 2025 and grow exponentially from them. We're going to start with density assessments and then continue with treatment monitoring. So we have clinics that are ready to adopt our technology for breast density assessment. We have people at the Tom Baker Cancer Center piloting our device for treatment monitoring, and they are very excited about this technology and the ability to provide a better experience, better to be able to detect abnormality sooner, be able to have a treatment that works better, and we are really excited to bring a technology in the hand. I'm not alone behind that. My co-founder, Eddie Sphere, she's the instigator of this project. She has been working on it way longer than me. We also have a great team of advisors that are helping us out in the different area that we don't have the great expertise. I'm an engineer and I can make stuff, but in the business world, I need some help. And I'm so happy to have a great mentor that is helping me out in this journey. He's a CEO of a medical imaging company, and he's really been awesome to me, and I really can count on him. Unfortunately, I cannot give his name, but he's there for me. Currently, we are raising $1.8 million. We have Pfizer that helped us out significantly. So we are looking for another 1.1 million, and that money is going to be used to bring our technology into the market for breast density assessment and to start generate revenue. So Wavy Imaging, we are moving the needle of breast cancer, and we are really looking for people to join us in that journey. Thank you. Any questions?
Hi, I'm Griselda from Isaac Create. So I have two questions, but I'll just ask you one first, and then I'll let others ask. So my first questions in these sheets, it mentions that your use of funds is one of them. It's for cloud database and by visualization.
Yeah.
So my question's related to that. So when you give it to, let's say, clinics, and then how important is it to have the results on time? And also, like, if they're in rural areas, like, is that one of the considerations for the funding, or like?
Yes. So we're starting with a standalone device, and the cloud system is going to be coming later. The standalone device can do exactly the same. The cloud device gives us the opportunity to have somebody scan at one location and scan at another location and really be able to compare with the data, because data comparison is really important to us. And that's basically where the cloud system come into play, and also for us to access this data for future improvement of the system.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, I think, half of it, but it's okay.
Right?
Thank you. Yeah, that's okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
So who does the actual evaluation? I mean, you've done the scan, but then who interprets the results?
Yeah. So right now, for breast density assessment, it's just a result that is provided to anyone who is interested into that result. It's exactly the same way as the software that they are used beside X-ray mammography that gives you a score for the breast density. So that's how we're gonna describe that. For treatment monitoring, the oncologist is going to look at the images and is gonna see the trend. That's basically one step up from him palpating the tumor to find if it has changed from 2 weeks ago. And for screening, that's going to be radiologists that are looking at the data. And what we are envisioning is to have all images and X-ray images. X-ray are going to be used for the foreseeable future for sure. But being able to overlap these two images and be able to see this enhancement that we detect that maybe X-ray mammography didn't.
I guess my second question, so when you say comparing data, like the images.
Yeah.
Are you using any, what technology are you using? Is it AI or something? If yes, then, at what point, like, does the AI stop? Like, who's the decision maker kind of thing?
Yeah, we don't use any AI at the moment. What we use is simple segmentation. And we look at this area of increased value and we compare that. But we need much more data to improve on our automation for sure.
Yes. Thank you.
Do you get data on the stage and subtype of breast cancer as well that you can maybe provide differentiation for based on the imaging?
Between different kind of breast cancer?
Yeah.
So that's a bit too early to say. But what we really hope is to be able to detect between benign and malignant. So that's the hope that we have. And I think in certain situations, we definitely can. But really, we need to have more data to be able to conclude on that.
You mentioned your cost is less expensive for the equipment than what's currently out there. What, can you give an example of what the difference is?
Yeah, so I just talked to somebody who went to Hologic, is a big vendor for mammography system, and there was about $500,000 for a system, including everything. And our system is like, almost 2 orders of magnitude lower. My goal is to manufacture the device for $10,000.
Wow.
Cost of material, right? Yeah, it's nothing is extremely expensive in it. And if you look at your cell phone, it's basically as complex as it is. And you buy a cell phone now they tend to cost $1,000, but yeah.
Segueing off that question, do you have any idea what the manufacturing is going to look like? Is it going to be in-house, contract manufacturer, in Canada, in Asia?
In Canada for all the assembly. We not decided if you're gonna go the contract manufacturer. There's some people in town that we gathered with. Not decided yet, but some parts are gonna be made in China for sure. But we assemble everything here. Anything that has IP related to it, we're gonna keep fabrication here. We have enough resources there. Yeah.
I have one question, actually. So these waves are microwaves.
That's right.
What kind of frequency you are using for these microwaves?
Yeah.
Because they can be damaging also, right?
Microwaves at low power, not really. Nothing as that is we are probably missing. But yeah, the nice thing is that the FCC is a regulatory body for radio frequency emission. They have clear guidelines for microwave imaging for medical application, and we're going between 3 and 10 gigahertz. That's basically the maximum. And to give you an idea, your Bluetooth 2.4 gigahertz, your Wi-Fi is about 5 gigahertz. That's exactly the same frequency that we are using.
Yeah, and that's why actually the question was that what kind of frequency it is, because, at some point, those, if they are higher frequency, more energetic, basically.
Yeah.
They can cause some tissue damage as well.
Yeah, so that's much higher frequencies, right? That's getting to like X-ray frequency type of thing. So yeah, of course, but we're far from it.
Okay.
Like, as I said, it's same frequency as this, but 100 times less power. So it's completely safe. Like you will have more space than beside your other, or having a phone call, yeah.
Any more questions? Yeah, are there any kind of advisors? You've got a good team there. Anyone else you're looking for? Any other insights from industry or from business services that would help?
Yeah, I'm looking for experience at the moment, I guess. If somebody has experience with the FDA, creating a device in the market, getting reimbursement code, and my mentor is really good at that. But yeah, and any connection with clinics, especially women health clinics. Yeah, they're going to be our first customers. So the more I talk to, the better. And yeah, if you know radiologists, oncologists, I'm always happy to talk to them.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, and thank you, Ken, for chairing, and we're gonna take a break now. So feel free to, let's reconvene in 15 minutes. We're gonna be about 10 minutes late, but we built in a 20-minute buffer at the end, so I hope that's okay. And again, the washrooms are down the hall, and yeah. Also reception areas, a few couches over there to chill out and catch up with the presenters. Our next presenter is over there in the chill out space, Todd McMullen.
I'll get some the computer. Yeah, and then I'll.
How are you?
Thank you, man. Well,
You're less stuff on your mind right now.
we should work together more.
I do a lot of presentations and I have the same technology.
Yeah,
I know some of the struggles.
yeah, you've been there.
I've been there and I'm like, why isn't it working? Disconnect. I got you.
Okay.
I think I found some evaluation.
Fund and University of Alberta Innovation Fund. And here today I have with me Todd McMullen. He's also with the university. He's a surgery professor there, and he has a really fascinating company to talk about today, doing an innovative platform for performing immunoassays. So Todd, kick it off.
Thanks very much. Yeah, thanks very much. Well, it's nice and warm in here anyway, close to outside. It's nice. So thanks very much. I'll take about 10 minutes, and I'd like to tell you about our technology to what we like to think will transform how people measure things in blood, urine, even stool. So how you do a biological assay. And it sort of came from my work as a surgeon clinically, where there's a real barrier. If I want to test for something that's important to me surgically, for example, in my surgery, I do a lot of neck surgery where their tumors spread to lymph nodes. To do testing in the traditional format from a place like Alberta Precision Laboratory, that's a big deal. The platforms are expensive. You have to do, there's a lot of cost that goes involved in making a test or even commercializing one on your own. And so I went into a bioengineer's office, a gentleman by the name of Robert Burrell, and we came up with a new way to measure biological substrates. And I'll talk to you a little bit about that. So if you've ever had, and I know pretty much everybody in here I'm sure has, if you've had a blood test or a urine test or any other kind of medical test, by far the most likely way it was done by immunoassay. Antibodies are fantastic. They're very specific. If you are like this up here, so it's not working. That's
It's a backwards.
Oh, it's backward.
And actually, this doesn't point out very well.
No, that's okay. That's okay. So we're looking for the blue thing. So if the blue thing happens to be a lipid or hemoglobin A1C or some other something else in your body that your doctor wants to monitor, usually it's an antibody that's enlisted to do the job. And immunoassays, there's a huge industry. 11 billion a year is just in Canada. That's the Canadian market for immunoassays, clinical research assays as well. And clever people a long time ago learned to put little dyes or fluorescent tags on antibodies. You put it into a spectrophotometer, it lights up. Spectrophotometers, so that's what you need to measure the light that comes off that antibody. They're expensive. They're not cheap. Even a cheap one is 50,000. The nice ones, 200,000. And even a typical test for immunoassays, where you buy the kits, they're $1,000, sometimes even 1,500. So not really cheap. And so if you're developing your own kits, it's something that's quite expensive. The other option you have, of course, on the other end of the spectrum, of course, is a lateral flow test, which is basically a pregnancy test. But there's really not much in between. So if you talk about the ability for an independent researcher, so somebody or even a small company that's in Edmonton has a good idea about building a test, it's a black hole. You either have to put in the money up front for the big spectrophotometers, for all the technology, or you just go really cheap with the lateral flow assay, which of course, it's great for qualitative, not so good for quantitative. And so what we did was we developed what we call WWiKY, or Visual Interference Color Assay. What we learned how to do and what we've commercialized, and our US Patent Office action about 3 weeks ago gave us every single claim on our first set of patents. So we've got 3 sets working their way through. The first one, obviously the most important. What we've learned is that these color changes you see on those slides, they're generated by molecules binding to the surface. This platform can measure changes as small as 2 nanometers. Most proteins are bigger than 2 nanometers. They're typically between 4, 6, 8 nanometers. And so we've learned how to assay materials, and it's very quantitative, it's very precise. The typical coefficient of variation for people that are super excited about immunoassays and want the numbers is about 2%. So it's very precise tool. And so it's something that you can use for research. You can use it for clinical assays, and it's portable and much cheaper. You don't need the special fluorescent tags. You don't need the special enzymes or special linked antibodies. You can take tools right off that you can go to Thermo Fisher, buy the antibody of your choice or whatever it is you want, put it on our surface, activate it, and the result is instant. So the minute it binds, it's there. You don't have to wait hours. You just have to wait a couple of minutes for it, depending on how well the binding is. So this is our prototype. So it's our prototype box there. It's designed for the measurements. So, and it's a fraction of the cost, again, because there's no special electronics. We were founded in 2019. And so We've got materials engineers and chemists that help us with engineering the surface and our manufacturing element of it. There's a regulatory group that helps out, and as I indicated, there's 3 patent families that involve the surface itself. So we've got patents on the surface itself, and then patents around the box, and they're just sort of working their way through worldwide. The PCTs have been done, the national actions have been done for the big patent, the early ones, and now we're moving through the rest worldwide. So I want to just give you a couple examples, just to sort of solidify what it is you can do with our technology. Now, I'm a scientist. Originally, I studied, and I still do, oncology research. So I was targeting this particular molecule. It's platelet-derived growth factor receptor alpha. It's linked to metastases or cancer spreading in lymph nodes in the thyroid. So that's why I was interested in it. We identified a compound that binds this molecule, we found some candidates. And so before the Pavonis technology, what we were doing is typically using something called SPR or BLI. These are big, this is a surface plasmon resonance, or this is a biolayer interferometry. Big machines that measure proteins coming together. Cost a lot of money. There's only a couple at the university. You need a special person to run it, because it's technically quite demanding, and it's not cheap. As you see, we screened molecules. Took us almost half a year, and it cost us about $25,000. We got the cheap, investigator local rate. So it costs a lot more for pharmaceutical firms. We then adapted our platform to screen these molecules against different proteins. We did it basically within a month, and for just a tiny fraction of the cost. And by quantifying with the different colors, we were able to do exactly what the big expensive machine did. So we've got those correlations. In fact, we're publishing that presently. So that's one example. So if you're a researcher, this is a great tool. You don't have to give your money away to Sartorius or the big companies, Gator Bio, who've done great work on this technology, but it's very expensive and not very accessible. So now a little bit on the other side of it. So I talked about the research use, now the clinical one. One of the other things, again, as a surgeon, I do on call is a lot of surgery for something called inflammatory bowel disease, Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis. One of the best markers of that disease is something called calprotectin. It's measured in the stool. And so right now for patients, if you unfortunately have inflammatory bowel disease, you're lucky to get 1 or 2 measurements a year of this protein, okay? There are point of care tests out there. Unfortunately, AHS doesn't use them a lot, but there are out there. This is the current gold standard. It's actually the system we have in our lab right now. We purchased this. This is the current system. We built it exactly, like this is our platform, of course. We built the cartridges to do it. We can do it faster, so it takes much less time to do. It's much cheaper, and we can multiplex. 1 cartridge, 1 test. On ours, we can run up to 8 tests, even just with our current iteration, and eventually we'll get to 10 and even 20 per slide. It just depends on sample size, or the size, which of course, you only need a few micrograms of protein. The amount of protein that actually goes on the slide, again, for anybody interested, it's only about 0.4 of a nanogram, so you don't need a lot. So again, it's quite sensitive that way. So I've kind of given you the 2 different uses of our technology, kind of on both ends of the spectrum. So again, I'm working with the gastroenterology group. We're currently writing a protocol for AHS to try to operationalize this type of testing. So that's in the process right now. So to sort of summarize, basically what we've done is we've created a surface that can work as an assay for all sorts of tests, for research use, for clinical use. We've got our box, our light box that you can process your specimens in. It's portable, it's robust. It can work you don't need a power supply, so it can just work off a battery because again, the electronics and the lights are quite simple. And what we're currently working on right now is a back end. We do find that researchers love to talk, they like to share results. Previously if you did your drug discovery work on another system, it's hard to share results. We're actually trying to link everybody together. You take a picture on your device with our system, you can share that picture around the world. Australia, Austria, anybody working, they can take the same protein, take a picture, and you can share it and share the results. So that's where we're very excited about the whole stream and the ability to connect, because the results are so easy, because it's a simple picture, the light coming off the surface, there's not a lot of processing, you can share your results. So really excited about that. You can work with whole blood too. You don't have to process your specimen. You can put whole blood, you can poop, and we've done lots of it. lots of it right on the slide. Wash it off, read it. We can do nanomole, in fact, we can go picomolar, even femtomolar with some of the new bead technology. And of course, we're quite cost effective, so we can multiplex. So we're quite excited about those options. There we go. So our entry points into the market. So right now, we sort of break it up into 3 elements. Right now, we have what we call a sort of a drug discovery service lab. So we're offering services to companies, local companies, and we've reached out to a couple of larger companies that do drug discovery work or are building their own tests. There are a lot of people with a lot of good ideas on how to assay different things. We're helping them build their tests. We also have a couple of our own point of care tests that we're offering through different local companies. WWiLabs in Calgary. There are tests, we have a screening test for HPV exposure for cervical cancer and oropharyngeal cancers. And we're coming up with we're working with a couple of pharmaceutical firms they want to do bespoke testing. We're looking at licensing. There's some feedlots in southern Alberta. A big problem is bovine respiratory disease. So we're working with Mosaic Veterinary developing a rapid test for that. And we're working with a company in a bacterial group, a bacteriology sort of specialized company called ProLabs. We're helping them build some tests for staphylococcal infections. And then ultimately what we'd like to do, so this is on our way to go, is really to have a subscription service where people can use our device, subscribe, and we help them collate results, and we help them optimize their platforms. So again, just the last couple of slides here. So basically in the near term, these are the things that are making a little bit of money right now, consumer tests and the discovery service. So we've launched just in 2024. So right now, that's where our revenue is coming from. We're looking at licensing our technology, and then the subscription service will come later. This requires the investment. This is where most of the money would go, is just to help us develop the back end, which requires obviously database elements and a more robust consumer interface. And so that's what we're working on right now. So this is just the last slide here, just myself. Aaron couldn't be here. He's in sort of charge of the software. He's the software guru. He's going to help manage the machine learning and the AI backend, which again is fascinating. We couldn't pick a luckier time. All of the machine learning for colors and for pictures is it's getting very, very sophisticated. So now you have so now we can analyze pixel by pixel by pixel, all the different elements, and you can start to look at changes. So there's lots of fascinating opportunities there for even increasing the sensitivity further. And of course, I'm in charge of the device itself and the element on the surface and the chemistry elements, because I did a PhD in biochemistry, so I'm in charge of getting things onto the surface. So our goal, we want to keep it in Alberta. We already have a pilot manufacturing site. We can do thousands of tests on campus at the university. So we have an agreement to work at the university. We're offering the high-end discovery service. So we're offering, and we have 3 publications that have now been submitted now that we have our patent, the office action. So now we're in the process of disseminating our results, showing people around the world what we can do. And so in the interim, we've been funded pretty much by myself and Aaron with a couple of early angel investors. And that's the vast majority of all the funding, basically. We did get some money from CHR and NSERC to help out. So there is some non-diluted funding as well. And you'll see that in the business elements of it. And this is currently what we think we need to finish building this out and sort of complete the circle. And so that's all I'm going to say today. Thanks very much.
Thanks a lot, Todd. I guess questions off the bat. Well, I guess one thing I was kind of wondering is about the agribusiness angle. So the implications on detecting diseases in cattle. I'm kind of curious if you could elaborate a bit on the administration of that. Like who actually does that on the ground using this technology?
That's an excellent question. So what happens for these large feedlots that typically have 25, even up to 50,000 animals? They'll have massive amounts of animals. They'll have pen riders. And so what we've done is in a series of, I call them field trips, we go out, we've traveled to the feedlots and we've identified, they actually have significant losses, up to 10% in a given fall can be lost. That's a really high number when you consider the number of animals that are throughput. And with the antibiotic use being really restricted, so antibiotic use is being watched, and so they don't want to give, it used to be if an animal got sick, they got a pen writer, a pen checker would go around, identify animals not acting the right way. They would go to then into what they call it a hospital. They'll bring it in for testing, and then, but you have to test right there, right now, because one of the problems, and I thought it would be easy, but all the cattle, they just have a number on their ear. Well, not so easy, not when you got 20,000 of them and they get dirty and they don't actually just always show you their number. So as it turns out, so you have to be able to test and identify and treat right there. And so that's what we're working on right now. Is a pathway using lactoferrin and something called neopterin. These are markers of illness in cattle, and we can identify them really quickly so that while the animal's in that secluded area within a span of 10 to 15 minutes, you can keep them separate. You identify if they need treatment. If they do, you give them the antibiotic, which is usually a pellet that lasts about 3 days, and then you can send them on their way. Or if they're not sick, then the idea is you would just send them without antibiotics.
Okay.
So that's the, I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, yeah. So who would administrate
The pen
bites in
checkers,
that case?
it's,
Okay,
it's
the pen
very
checkers.
simple, right?
Oh,
Again,
yeah.
it turns out it's pretty easy to get samples either of saliva, which we can use on or blood. And so we're just working on the test element of it. In fact, they want us to come up with a protocol for 1,000 animals, which we're working on for this summer to do the test. They're actually very data driven, that group, very data driven. So they want data. So
Any other questions from there, please?
The biomarkers that you've identified for cancers, which cancers are you targeting? And then you have a pipeline for targeting additional sequential cancers.
So thyroid cancer, obviously, just because it's a legacy, it's just because that's what I'm involved in. So thyroid cancer, then the PDGF receptor alpha moiety for guiding surgery. So that's one. The second one is HPV. So we're looking at screening. Right now, cancer screening, especially in Canada, there's not enough capacity in the system. And most of our screening modalities, a lot of them are invasive. And so the HPV, which is both oropharyngeal cancer and cervical cancer, oropharyngeal cancer more in men and cervical cancer in women, although it can be both for the oropharyngeal cancer. That's our next compound. After that, we're going to focus on the screening elements of it. We'll work on those two for now.
Okay. And then to follow that up, I assume that the test strips that you're using, they're disposable, so it's a one-time use?
You can reuse them. So that's the great thing about anodized aluminum. It's tough. That's what's on your cars, your bikes. And so we can make thick test strips that then you can you can basically wash them in EDTA and then a bit of a detergent solution, then wash them off, and then you can actually reuse them. So we really like the reusable elements of it. In those cases, we make them a bit differently. We can make them on little tin foil. We buy our rolls of raw material for 7,500 or about 10,000 Canadian, or I guess 12,000 Canadian, where the dollar is. It's probably so 12,000 Canadian. We get 11,000 square feet worth of, like, again, it's thousands and 40,000 tests. So the material's cheap. And then we can cut it into the different, and you can make tests of different sizes, right? I can make little small ones or big ones, depending on what you want. Right.
Yes, I just have a quick question. So, you mentioned for the current finding milestones that you're looking for marketing professionals and, you're also looking for worldwide patents. So I was wondering, is compliance at anywhere like, compliance personnel or something like that is something else that you need to consider? Because I see from your team, for example, most of them are the scientists
So I work with, there's a group of regulars, so I hire them out of Calgary, and they're in charge of all the regulatory elements. So when we go to production for a given test, because I'm a physician, so I actually had a diagnostic lab and a quality manual, so I'm accredited by the CPSA. So I've actually already built an accredited system. So when a test is ready, we can funnel it through that quality system that's already built.
I see. So the marketing personnel will just go with.
Yeah, that's right.
Got it.
That's right. Yeah. So that part of it. Now for America, obviously, if you want a patent, then I have to go through an American lab. But we have a partner in Florida, Protein Labs, that will help us do that when we're ready to go to the US.
I think it's great that you're talking to pharma, maybe Thermo Fisher, but how bulletproof is your patent portfolio?
Yeah, I think, you know what? I think we're pretty good. We, Anodized aluminum's been around for 50 years, so we can't touch the surface itself. It's how you get the proteins down on the surface. And so we've tested the GLA protein, that the negatively charged moiety that's about 28 amino acids long. That we've protected that. We've done modeling that. Our first patent was actually, to be honest, was very, very large because we covered that. So I'm pretty confident they would have a really tough time getting around that, because we've modeled it for all different variations of charge and size. And we've made constructs and patented those constructs as well. So like a protein A and protein G. So if you have an antibody that wants to bind your thing, you can just bind it to our linker, put it on the surface, and you're done. So there's not even a reaction. It's just, you put them in the tube together and put it on the slide. It'll orient automatically. Does that make sense? Sure.
All right, do we have any other questions for Todd right now? Okay, well, thanks a lot, Todd.
Yeah, thanks everybody.
Yeah, so next up, I'd like to introduce Piyush Kumar of WWiKY BioSciences. He's gonna talk to us about this, his technology with huge implications in detection and therapy of cancer cells. So, yeah, I'll let Piyush take it away from here.
Change the slide, right?
That should, yeah. If it doesn't work, tell me and I'll do it. I did that one for you. Oh, you're good.
Nice working.
Okay. Thank you again for filling out your forms.
Okay.
We are running just about on time. At 3:30, we're gonna walk over to the cafe, so try and fill out your forms maybe during the Q&A as well. And that'll allow us to get over there for drinks. But thanks again for sharing and for presenting.
Thanks for inviting me. I want to start it this way, that, cancer is one disease that takes so many lives, and I believe none of us probably would be spared from, our family members, our friends, must have got it. So, and the reason is not being treated yet because we are not addressing the fundamental problems. And that's what this talk is about. And I think it's a request that, people who are interested in investing in the technology look at it favorably so that we can provide healthcare benefits and business benefit both. So I'm Piyush. And as I said, the globally cancer cases are on rise. In 2023 alone, there were about 20 million new cancer cases, and of them 10 million died, so 50%. And that's actually the number, if you know, hypoxic patients or patients with cancer that have low oxygen in it, they are diagnosed. So this number is very close to the number of deaths, okay? So patients who are diagnosed with hypoxic tumors, they don't survive usually, okay? Unless the treatment is there. And it's because hypoxia is a hallmark of all types of cancer. So this technology, if we are successful, will actually address all types of cancer. So it's very unique. Over 40% patients are diagnosed with solid hypoxic tumors. And the treatment plan still is conventional therapy. We do go through radiotherapy or conventional chemotherapy. That's why the treatment is not effective. And in terms of competition, there is no hypoxia-directed treatment yet. And that's where our technology comes. Our technology is called hypoxysin, and it's because it's addressing the hypoxia. And it's a single drug that will address both imaging and treatment and of multiple cancer types. So it's unique. Our mission is to offer precision, safe, and effective both imaging and therapy management of hypoxic tumors. We have a successful track record because one of the products that we invented was not patented at the time, but it's now used in many cancer hospitals at imaging hypoxic tumors in patients, okay? To keep the interest more, you'll be surprised to know that many diseases are there. For example, diabetes, arthritis, anaerobic infections, infarctions, and stroke, etc., where hypoxia is prevalent. And we have done some clinical patients to figure out that this compound targets those diseases as well, so we can use it manage. But current focus is cancer. We have been approved by Health Canada for phase 1/2 theranostic trial. So basically we'll be recruiting 30 patients, we'll do imaging, and then we'll select and then treat them. We have activity going on in China also, where they are filing IND for hypoxia first product. We have collaboration with Pittsburgh University and in Wales, UK, and in Singapore. And recently, actually, we got approval in India also for a phase 1/2 trial. So we have 3 products. The product mainly that I'll talk about is Hypoxin 1, and it shows that, we have done many cancer patients, over 70. We have diagnosed them successfully, many cancer types. It reaches there in clinically efficacious doses so that it can provide enough radiation to kill those things, and it has been approved by Canada. We also tested some diabetes patients and arthritis patients, but that's a future plan, and the product shows accuracy over there as well. Another product is called Hypoxin M, and it's basically to detect molecular hypoxia inside the cell. We have validated this in animal models in different cancer types. It's ready for marketing. Okay, and then other one is the next generation. We have uplines also. So now to the main product that we are pursuing in the clinical trial. It's basically one drug solution for many cancer types, like I said, because we have tested its efficacy in many cancer types on the diagnostic side. It identifies hypoxic tumors. This molecule can be tagged with a PET imaging radioisotope or a SPECT imaging radioisotope, so it can offer multimodal imaging. So you have a choice of PET imaging or SPECT imaging. It's precise and targeted, and once it's loaded with therapeutic radiation doses, it will kill the tumor. We have done clinical safety also in healthy humans, and therapeutic radiation doses from drug are effective for tumor killing. So that's what we have done. This is our clinical trial design. So successfully, what we'll do, we'll take the patients, we'll provide a diagnostic dose of this product so it can accurately identify where the tumor is and which patients have hypoxic tumors. So we'll take only eligible patients forward, and that imaging dose will actually provide us calculation of precise therapeutic radiation dose. You can calculate through that. And then we will treat them with precise dose 2 times. That way it will be safe, effective, targeted, and non-toxic. So benefits of using one drug rather than conventional ways of treating, where you use different drugs for diagnosis and different drugs for treatment. When you're using same drug, it's chemically and radiopharmaceutically the same drug. So your pharmacokinetic course doesn't change. Target is precise. It's not going anywhere else. So minimal toxicity, maximum precision, and delivery of what you want to do. Competition, we really don't have much competition. The closest competition we have is a product called MIBG, which is used for one kind of tumor, but it does not image hypoxia, or it does not treat hypoxia. So it's for other cancer types where there is no hypoxia. So basically there is no competition, but we can use PET or SPECT imaging. We can image hypoxia. All cancer types, we can treat them. It treats hypoxia, so it's a true theranostic. Here, what I've done, I have provided market projection for our product based on the cost that big pharma charge for imaging and treatment. So usually it's about imaging, you get to do pre, mid, and post, and you use 3 doses at this much price, and treatment is about $150,000 per dose. What we are doing here, I will show you the comparison with, so we have taken only 0.5% of the hypoxic patient population only in US, and I've compared 2 cancer types. One is esophageal and other is lung and bronchial. So the market for diagnosis for esophageal market is about $32 million in year 1 with some annual growth. And for lung cancer market is about $153 million only in US. So if you think of global picture, the market is real big. I don't want to talk big, but at the same time, potential is there if we can treat the hypoxic tumor patients, okay? And if we are going to go in more cancer types, which is our Health Canada approval, our protocol is approved for all cancer types. So there's huge market. What we want to do is we want to raise $5 million USD at this time is to complete phase 1, 2 clinical trials for 2 centers. One is here in Edmonton Breast Cancer Institute, and other one is in India. We got approval over there as well. We also have market for Hapoxin M and P is the precursor for making these molecules. We also want to hire a business expert because we don't have real person who can take our business forward. We have pipeline, and actually very recently by Canadian Medical Isotope Ecosystem, which is a federal agency, I was asked to submit an application for funding, for getting funds to fund a facility to manufacture these things, okay? We succeeded in phase 1, now it's phase 2, so we are having presentation with them. And that's to build a facility where we can make this pharmaceutical as well as other clinically useful pharmaceuticals. We put some money ourselves, and the grants, we received about $10 million to get the things to this stage. This is our team. So we have basic scientists. We have our medical team is ready from the cross side. We have business side, and that's what we are. So thank you.
Thank you. All right, do we have any questions right off the bat? I guess one thing I was wondering about is if you could provide a little bit of clarification on the pricing. I noticed that tab was empty compared to the competition. And so I'm wondering like, yeah, how you determine that, what's going on in your mind related to pricing?
So cost for our manufacturing will be much lesser than what is indicated over there. That was only to show you the market projection, okay? So if we go through big pharma, and that's what happens, and lots of clinical trials are sponsored by big pharma. And when it is there, usually the system is paying about this much money when you do treatment. For example, if you want to breast cancer, for one patient, cost is about $120,000 per year, so it's not cheap. What I have compared here is that we are not trying to capture the whole market. We are just capturing only 0.5% of the hypoxic population, which is about, so 0.5% of 40% only in one region, okay? So market potential is high. It will need to get, so we want to go to US also, okay? That's our future plan. We are talking over there so that we can get FDA approval, and if we do that, US is about 40% of the global market, But we have to do this Canadian trial first. That will increase our confidence, data, and to take it.
Validation and whatnot.
Validation. Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. Do we have anyone want to jump in here? Yeah.
So you're looking for funding, is it to do phase 1, phase 2 trials?
Yes.
Oh, okay. And you have a mix of, I guess, government funding, maybe charity money, and you're looking for investment. So just explain kind of how that mix.
Well, I'm requesting everybody, even in charitable organization, if they can raise money for us, okay? Including the investors, because it's for them, $5 million is not too much money, but it will give them lots of value later on. We want to collect the data using this fund at this time, ourselves, and then put in the market later on.
Okay, so this is a company that you are the director of, I guess?
Yes.
And who owns the IP then?
So we four own the IP here. WWiKY owns the IP. It's not the university. It's not the Alberta Health Services. It's just we own. So we had gone through the university, but we bought the patents back. And we have actually 2 international patents, and we have 5 regional patents in Europe, China, North America, other places. And we own everything.
Okay, so if there's an investor here who has $1 million.
Yes.
Can you say a little bit about how they would benefit?
So we will give them part of the equity at this time. Okay, so whatever shares we have, we'll give part of that. Okay, so they become co-owner of those shares. And then as the data goes forward, okay, they will be benefited at that time. If they want to exit, they can exit. If they want to continue, they can put in more money. We could do phase 2, 3, because the plan is to go for phase 2, 3.
Okay, great.
Nice. Do we have anyone else right now?
I noticed that your market data is all US focused. Typically, to get clinical approval in the US, you need to do your clinical trials in the US.
No, you have to take your data over there and validate. Right? So FDA certainly goes through those data. We've been talking to US guys, okay, it's not. that you have to do the trial over there to get approval. Canadian healthcare guidelines are equally stringent as FDA, and they are accepted there.
Okay, so you indicated that your clinical trial strategy is to do your phase 1 in Canada and your phase 2 in India?
No. They will both centers will do the same trial.
Okay.
So
you'll
basically,
replicate
it's
the
sort of a
trial in Canada and
multi-center
India.
validation. They're interested in the trial, so they got approval over there. So it's a national institute in India who will
Okay.
be doing the trial.
And so you're using a clinical trial,
Yes,
okay,
yeah, it's a clinical trial.
okay, but who's doing the clinical trial?
Here?
In Canada?
In Canada, it's Dr. Michael Sawyer, actually, who's the lead here, clinical lead. He's a medical oncologist, and there's Dr. Naresh Jha, who's radiation oncologist. Okay, so they are involved, and WWiKY will be sponsoring this trial.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but who's gonna do your work in India? You're gonna have a clinical trial
He's,
organization.
yeah, it's actually postgraduate institute in Lucknow, India, and he's radiation oncologist over there. Yeah, he will do.
All right, do we have another question at the moment? Well, in that case, thank you very much, Piyush, and it's a really interesting product you have. I'd like to chat more for sure.
Oh, yeah,
Mhm.
I hope people put in money.
Yeah.
Because that's.
Me too.
You can leave money by the door with that.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jude, for sharing, and thanks for another great talk. You presented several times and
Thank
making
you.
great progress. Thank you all for your time. Apologies, it was a bit warm in here, but hopefully you can hang out for a little longer just to fill out your form. Does anybody need an evaluation form? They're also online. And Rakesh and Michelle, are you heading over to Endeavor? Maybe you can help people find, can you walk there easily enough?
Yeah, it's just literally across the street from here.